Hi everyone, it's Kedasha, Samantha, and Sandi. Welcome to the very first episode of the Deeper Than Tech podcast. We're so happy to have you. Today we're speaking about being Black women in tech and how we got started in tech. So obviously we're three Black women thriving in technology, and so that's why we're here. We want to let you know about us and about our journey. So let's just get right into it. So tell us, Samantha, how did you get started in technology? Did you study computer science? Did you go to a boot camp? Are you self-taught? How did you get your start in tech?
So I started off self-taught, and then I decided, okay, I don't have enough self-discipline, so I need to go to a coding boot camp. I think coding boot camps are great. Just make sure that you find the right one for you. Mine was a 10-month long boot camp, which I thought was great because it gave me time to actually learn all the topics. What about y'all?
I love that. I think I'll piggyback off of you. I started off self-taught as well. And then I also realized I needed some structure to my learning environment. I needed more, and I needed some discipline. So I opted for a coding boot camp. I do wish I had a lengthier boot camp. My boot camp was actually 18 weeks.
Wow.
And I do feel like I learned a lot in that time, but I felt like they got my feet wet, but they didn't teach me how to swim. You know what I mean? So like I had a start, but I still felt like there was so much more to learn, so much farther to go. So I do wish I opted for like a lengthier boot camp.
Wow, girl, 18 weeks is a very short time.
I know. God really blessed with this job.
So I went to a 9-month boot camp. I'm technically not graduated. I haven't graduated yet officially, but I went to a very long boot camp. And like you guys, I started out self-taught, but then I got to JavaScript and my brain was like, what? So I had to get that external help, and the student collaboration in a boot camp can be very, very beneficial to your learning journey.
For sure.
100%.
And so, like, now that you work in tech, what does it mean to be like a Black woman in tech? Because there's working in tech and then there's being Black in tech. What has your experience been like so far, Sandi?
I mean, it's been all right. I'm not going to say like there has been, huge issues. Like I meshed with the team, but at the same time, it's like I'm often the only woman. I'm often the only Black woman, right? And it's just different. The culture is different. Navigating conversations is different. I sometimes, like apart from work, I sometimes struggle to like find common ground with my coworkers, with talking points. And then sometimes I do feel out of place, and I don't know if it's because I'm a Black woman in tech or it's because my background is different. A lot of my colleagues, they're also like, they tend to have like the computer science background. So I don't know if that's the difference, but I do tend, for me being a Black woman in tech, I just feel out of place. And that's why I'm happy we're having this talk, the discussion, because I do feel like there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more representation, because I feel like the more representation, the more women, the more Black women, the more like the tech industry could feel like home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I saw a stat once that said like 3% of
3%
are Black, like Black. I'm like, whoa, 3%?
That's very low.
Whenever I go into a room, that's very low.
Very low, 3%. Yeah. But it's true. When I went into my building and I saw my floor, I was the only Black woman on that floor. And when I meet other Black talent, when I meet other Black talent, it's very rare within my company. And they're often hired like at conferences.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw another young Black woman at my job, and I literally freaked out. I ran up straight to her and said, "Hi, I'm Kedasha. How are you? What are you doing? Like, who are you? Where do you work?" I was so excited to see someone that looked like me, that I could actually talk to, or we spoke the same language. It was like so refreshing. It's so important to feel visible at your company and at your job. And seeing her, it was just like, whoa, that's amazing. What has your experience been like, Samantha?
Well, I just wanted to also pick up on like at tech conferences or jobs, you see that only Black person there, and you instantly become friends because you both have been through the same exact experience. For me, my experience has mostly been like when I'm applying for a job, I go on LinkedIn and kind of to see how many Black people are in tech at that job to make sure I feel like I'm in a safe spot. So I don't want to be the only Black person at the job. I think you get stuck with a lot of extra responsibilities when you are. Like, they'd be like, oh, can you help us recruit more people of color? Oh, hey, can you do this and that? I'm just like, well, can you pay me for that? And they're like, no. So that's why I always try to find out more, like, who's going to be at the job so I can make sure I'm in a comfortable position. Yeah.
I like that little tip of going on LinkedIn and seeing like how many Black people actually work at that company before even applying. That's something I'll keep in my back pocket because it's just so important to see yourself wherever you are, because otherwise you'll just feel so isolated.
Yeah.
I noticed, especially with the events of the past year, like our internal African American group, that org, kind of turned into a support group for other people in terms of being an ally and learning how to navigate those situations. And I feel like the group is no longer for me because I don't want to spend my time educating someone on how to be an ally to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we should not be the ones educating other people. I think the company should be responsible for doing that, having resources for people who do want to become allies. One thing that we do at my job is within our individual engineering traits, we include diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, like, you cannot get up to like a senior level position without being an ally, without being able to help bring people who are people of color into tech, without bringing people into tech at being a high level. Because then there's going to be a lot of problems at the top of the ladder when people who are at the top are not people of color.
And that imbalance just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like I was also reading that like more than 50% of people at Apple and Google, these very large tech companies, are still white. Like we're not really, and it's not just us Black, it's like Native Americans, it's Latinas, it's, you know, the Hispanic people, it's everybody, Asians, it's everybody. We don't see ourselves in these spaces, and sometimes it's so hard to say, oh, you know, I'm going to get a job in tech as AX. If you don't see yourself, it's hard to see yourself in that role.
Well, that's also true because when it comes to mentorship, there aren't a lot of Black people at the top. And usually when people are looking for somebody to mentor them or somebody to be mentees, they gravitate towards somebody who looks like them. And so if we don't have people at the top to help support us, how can we help climb up the ladder? And also to say that, diversity is not just a Black and white thing. I know that's like what people usually see it as, but there's also like accessibility issues. There's also like ableism and, like you said, all the different races. Like diversity brings so much into a company, whereas like I feel like most people aren't white who are using your app. A lot of the people are everyday people, and if only white people are building your app, they don't know who they're speaking to their audience. Whereas when you bring in more diverse people, we're able to like understand our audience better because we want the same things they want.
Right.
Exactly. And I know sometimes in tech, I notice as a new person in tech that diversity seems to mean white women. A lot of times it's like if a company has white women on their team or in like executive level positions, we are diverse. And it's just like, no.
Don't even get me started.
You are not.
I know. Yeah. Noticed that too. It's I noticed that with white women and also like Indians as well. I feel like when they say they're diverse, they're also, I mean, that does count, but I do feel like out of all the other groups, it's still really, really small for like Latinos or like African Americans.
And Native Americans.
Yeah, Native Americans.
100%. So tell us, like, do you think you're treated differently because of your race and gender?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely think so. I think just leveling in general, like where you come in the company, has a huge factor in like your skin color and your gender. The last two jobs
Hmm.
I've gotten into, I have been coming in as a junior engineer, even though I have
Mm-hmm.
built stuff that senior engineers would build, or I would have. I've won many hackathons, but yeah, I kept getting interviewed only for junior positions, even though my resume had like enough experience to be a mid-level engineer. So I think that's mostly because of the way the skin color. Like a lot of companies, I hate to say that, have quotas, and they just want to get people in wherever
Wow.
they can. So it might be easier to hire somebody of color as a junior position, whereas it might be easier to go to a like you recruit people in certain pipelines. Um, and if you don't know that, if you have a new pipeline, it's easy to get them at a lower level than like if you go to your regular
Yeah.
pipeline, putting them at a mid level because you're familiar with that. So yeah, I think being a Black woman is a lot harder to get in a higher position early on because of I guess biases. That's a whole other conversation.
That sucks. That just made me so depressed.
Yeah, I was
Um,
like, but it's so true. It's just the truth. I mean, and that's what our podcast is about, bringing the truth.
my God.
Going deeper than tech.
I didn't mean to kill. I didn't mean to
Just
kill the
went deep.
mood.
I guess I got really sad because I am super new to tech and I feel like I'm just starting and I have so much to give. And so knowing that the possibilities may be limited for me because of how I look, it's sad. It's just like, what? I'll just go build my own thing and create my own table and get my own coin and just go from there. Because that sucks. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry
would
you
love.
went through that.
It's okay. We learn, live and learn. And it's also sad that if we do want to build our own thing as well, they said only like what, 2 or 3% get venture capitalism. So it's a never winning game for us. But we still here, we still thriving. See a Black woman, go help her get into tech.
I definitely think that it has been improving, like the efforts to have Black women in tech. I definitely feel like there are a lot of companies that are having a stronger initiative towards bringing Black women in tech, and not making the process so difficult, as well as
Yeah.
incorporating programs to once they hire diverse talent, like how do we retain them? How do we continue their
Yes.
growth? I've been like my company. I've heard of a few companies, but I can personally vouch for my company. They are creating like this whole internal pipeline to recruit engineers and help build them once they get there, so they're not lost or they don't feel like they can contribute. So I do feel like in terms of tech and recruiting Black talent or Latino talent or Native American talent, like they're creating programs to help diverse candidates feel more welcome and comfortable.
Cool. So, despite everything that goes on in technology, being a Black woman, how do you stay motivated despite all these roadblocks?
I like listening to podcasts. I like following inspiring people on social media. I'm reading articles about how women are still breaking barriers. Like that motivates me to go hard. And just understanding that, what I'm facing is not something new, sadly, but it's not something new. But I at least am in a position where I can change, I can change someone else's experience. I can leave the company better than I found it, basically. Um, I don't know, just thinking of ways where I could change and just reading other like articles and listening to other outside resources that motivates me to just continue going. Like, okay, maybe I feel like there's no seat at the table. Like you said, I'll make my own table.
Yeah.
Like just understanding that you don't have to be, you can create possibilities instead of seeing where you're limited. So that kind of mindset motivates me.
I love that. How about you, Samantha?
So I've been in this industry for over 4 years now, and I have been through the road through the dirt. But I would say the best thing to do is kind of distract, just distance yourself from the job, have your own outside life, and don't tie yourself so much into your day to day. Find people who want to support you. Get in their good side. People who don't want to support you, you don't have to talk to them. If you're on a bad team, change teams to a better team. If that team doesn't work again, change to another job. Make sure that you're always in a position where you can feel comfortable. Companies don't realize how valuable you are, but you are super valuable. So make sure that you find somewhere that they care about you. You're very talented. We all are talented, and we could bring a lot to the industry. So, yeah.
Wow, I love that. I love that because that's kind of how I stay motivated. I try not to focus on being like, oh my God, I'm the only black person here. Oh my God, oh my God. I try to focus on, wow, I can bring this unique experience to this conversation. That's how I kind of look at things. I'm a pretty positive person, uppity, kind of person. And so I like to look at the positive spin in situations. And one thing I always say to myself is, I'm so happy that when I was learning how to program, I didn't know that there was such a huge diversity issue in technology, because if I knew, I would not have made the transition, because it can be really, I don't think I would have, because coming from social work is such a diverse field. We work with so many different people all the time. It's very jarring to see 3% of us spread across technology, so we're not even in the same place at the same time. It's very sad, but I try not to think about it, honestly. Well, that's it for now. Catch us next time when we dive into whether or not the technical process is broken. Wink, wink, it is. So have a great day. Thanks for listening. Remember to share, subscribe, like, and subscribe to our podcast. Tell your friends to tell their friends. And see you, or you can listen to us next time.
Bye.